Serena Calloway had everything money could buy: a penthouse suite overlooking Manhattan, a closet full of designer clothes, and a mother whose name appeared on the Forbes list every single year. Yet at 23, she sat on the cold marble floor of Calloway Tower's parking garage at 2 a.m, knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming down her face, completely and utterly alone. Her mother, Diana Calloway, was a woman who had built a billion-dollar empire from nothing, a steel-willed visionary who graced the covers of business magazines and commanded boardrooms full of powerful men without blinking. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. But at home, behind closed doors, Diana was absent in every way that truly mattered. She had never learned how to be a mother, because her own childhood had been so consumed by survival and ambition that tenderness simply never found a place in her heart. Serena's father had passed away when she was just 10 years old, and after that, Diana threw herself even deeper into her work, leaving Serena to grow up in the care of hired staff, in a penthouse that felt more like a museum than a home. Serena had battled anxiety and depression for years, cycling through therapists her mother hired and dismissed. Whenever they dared suggest that Diana herself was part of the problem. That particular night, Serena had walked out of yet another glamorous charity gala where Diana had paraded her in front of journalists and board members like she was a polished trophy rather than a living, breathing young woman with her own dreams and wounds. Unable to breathe inside that glittering ballroom, Serena had slipped into the elevator, descended to the basement parking garage, and simply collapsed onto the cold floor, letting the silence swallow her whole. It was there that John found her. John was 41 years old, a janitor who worked the night shift at Calloway Tower 5 nights a week. He pushed his cleaning cart through the parking garage every night at exactly 2 a.m, humming old gospel songs under his breath, a habit passed down from his late grandmother who believed music could hold a broken heart together when nothing else could. He nearly stumbled when his flashlight caught the figure of a young woman sitting on the ground beside a row of luxury cars, her expensive gown pooled around her like she had simply given up mid-step. He approached slowly, his voice calm and careful. "Miss, are you all right? Do you need me to call someone?" Serena looked up at him with swollen eyes and let out a hollow laugh. "There is no one to call," she whispered. Something in those words settled into John's chest like a stone. He had a daughter of his own, Lily, 9 years old, the absolute center of his universe, and the only reason he got out of bed on mornings when the world felt too heavy. He had been raising Lily alone for 3 years since his wife walked out, working double shifts, skipping his own meals so Lily could have new shoes for school, reading her bedtime stories even on nights when his feet throbbed and his back ached and all he wanted was to sleep. He understood exhaustion that lived in the bones. He understood what it felt like to carry something too heavy for one person. Without overthinking it, John set down his mop handle and quietly sat down on a nearby concrete step. "You don't have to say a word," he said gently, "but I've got this whole level to clean and I'm not going anywhere for the next hour. So I'm here if you need someone to just be nearby." Serena did not know what made her start talking. Perhaps it was that he had not recognized her. Perhaps it was that he was not offering solutions or contacts or carefully worded professional advice. He was simply present, unhurried, without an agenda. She began slowly, and then the words came rushing out. Her father's death, her mother's coldness, the loneliness of growing up surrounded by luxury and devoid of love, the exhausting performance of pretending to be fine in front of a world that only saw her last name. John listened without interrupting, without glancing at his phone, without making her feel dramatic or ungrateful. When she finally fell silent, he said quietly, "Sometimes the loneliest place in the world is a room full of people who only see what you're worth, not who you are." She stared at him. Those words reached somewhere deep inside. her that no therapist's carefully practiced phrase ever had. Over the weeks that followed, something quietly extraordinary unfolded. Serena began coming down to the garage on sleepless nights, and John would take his break and they would sit and talk, like two people who had simply needed to find each other. He showed her photos of Lily and her gap-toothed grin and her wild, colorful paintings that covered every inch of their small apartment walls. Serena told him she had always wanted to study psychology, but her mother had pushed her toward business and finance, insisting that feelings were a weakness and ambition was the only currency worth having. John looked at her steadily and said, "It is never too late to become who you were always meant to be, never." Those words changed something in Serena permanently. She quietly enrolled in an online psychology program. She began volunteering at a youth mental health center on weekends, sitting with teenagers who reminded her of her younger self. She anonymously arranged for Lily to receive a full art scholarship through a private foundation, never once telling John where it came from. But John noticed the change in Serena, the way she carried herself differently, the way her eyes held a light they had not held before. One evening, Serena did the hardest thing she had ever done. She walked into her mother's office, sat down across from Diana Calloway, and told her the truth, not with anger, but with the steady voice of someone who had finally decided she deserved to be heard. She told Diana what her absence had cost her, what she had needed all those years, and what she needed now. Diana sat in silence for a long time, and then, for the first time in Serena's memory, her mother's eyes filled with tears. It did not fix everything. It did not undo years of distance overnight, but it opened a door that both of them had long believed was permanently sealed. None of it would have happened without a quiet man with a mop and a gospel song on his lips, a photo of a little girl with a gap-toothed smile, and the simple revolutionary act of sitting down beside someone in the dark and choosing to stay. John never considered himself extraordinary. He was just a father doing his best, a man who believed every human being deserved to be treated with dignity, regardless of what floor of the building they belonged to. And sometimes that quiet belief is the most powerful force in the world. If this story warmed your heart, please show your love and support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel Kindness True Stories, where every story is a reminder that kindness costs nothing but can change everything. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep sharing stories that restore faith in humanity, one heart at a time.